welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chugs, and coming up on today's video, a lot of free agency chatter around your Houston Texans. I mean, they do have top 5 cap space in the NFL, so a lot of names being floated around. We're going to be talking about 2 of them on today's video. And before we get into all of that, the latest news and rumors around the Houston Texans, I do have a couple news items to get to that actually just came across right before we started filming. First of which, the Texans signed defensive end Marcus Haynes. Just a small move that, I mean, I don't even know if he's going to make the roster going into next year. These are just like small contracts, futures contracts that you look at and you're like, hey, we're going to get some guys who are going to fill in some spots during, training camp. During those times, they could possibly make the team, could possibly make the practice squad, but just a low-end signing that I wanted to keep y'all aware of. And then another one that came in from Aaron Wilson. This actually came yesterday, right after I put out my video, that Texans safety coach Steven Adegoke is actually remaining with the Houston Texans after being offered the University of Michigan football job for their secondary spot. So it was rumored that he had accepted the position going to the University of Michigan to be their secondary coach. No, he is actually staying with the Houston Texans for another year as their safeties coach. So just a couple of news items I wanted to get through. And a quick question that I have for you folks at home. We were playing a fun game. I was talking with my wife, my little wifey, about, what do you guys talk about in the office? And I say, a lot of times, producer Trace can chime in if he wants to. We just name random players from our teams, like Antonio Smith, Brooks Reed. Random guys from the Houston Texans, Jacoby Jones, Dante Robinson, Dominic Davis. I mean,
Brandon Cooks, Rex Burkhead.
Exact, random Texans. So I want to see who can name the most intriguing, interesting Texans that you remember watching growing up. So let me know. Name some random Texans players in the comments section. Should be a fun one because I just had to take a little jab, make some fun at my wife for a second because she was like, really? Y'all don't talk about like your family life, what's going on in your office? I was like, no, we legit just name old players that played for our team. So go down in the comment section and name a couple if you can remember any. And now let's get into the meat of today's show. Probably the reason why you clicked into today's video. Could Derrick Henry, the king, be coming to H-Town? Could he go from our division rival, the Tennessee Titans, to us? Well, he was listed as a great fit for the Houston Texans, and I warned you at the start of this offseason. The Texans have a need at running back. There's a lot of free agent running backs available this offseason, and it seems likely that every single one of them is going to be linked to the Houston Texans at some point in time. This is what the 33rd team had to say on Derrick Henry to the Houston Texans. This isn't a perfect fit for many reasons, including the Houston Texans' style of offense. They use a lot of shotgun and empty back sets on later downs, and their run game is predicated on wide zone runs. But there are a lot of reasons why this could work. First of all, no team in the NFL knows Henry better than the Texans. In 14 career games against Houston, Henry ran for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. Familiarity is nice for free agents, but it shouldn't be the selling point. This makes a ton of sense for the Texans because a dominant ground attack is the only thing this team is missing from making a deep run into the playoffs. Devin Singletary had a nice season, but is also scheduled to become a free agent in March. Singletary is a good player, but his lack of size and power showed up against better defenses this season. Now, before I break down my thoughts on signing Derrick Henry, I wanted to hear from you folks at home. Should the Texans sign Derrick Henry? Give me an S for sign, a P for pass. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get a YouTube ad break, perfect timing. Scroll on down and let me know. Would you sign Derrick Henry? I would for the right price. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he's slowing down. He's not as good of a player as he once was. I mean, is he though? I mean, he had a pretty decent season for the Titans whenever they had a down year and a bad offensive line. Look at the stats compared to Devin Singletary. Carries, 280 to 216. Rushing yards, 1,100 to 898. 8 more touchdowns than Singletary, and they had the same yards per carry, while Derrick Henry had about 22 more first down rushes than Devin Singletary. And I want to, harp back on what the 33rd team said about the Texans offense and how it's predicated on spreading the ball out. That is true to a degree. They also, the Houston Texans offense under Bobby Slowick, used I formation or single back under center on 41% of their first down plays. Their 15% of I formation rate on first down was the second highest actually in the NFL. So I don't really agree on that point. I think Derrick Henry could be a nice fit with the Houston Texans, helping get 4-5 yards on first down, making it third and manageable, second and manageable, because if anybody out there watched that playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens, the Texans were in a lot of third and long. They could not get any rushing yards against that Ravens defense, and that really made life hard on C.J. Stroud and this Texans offense, having to consistently try to pick up 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12 even. So if the Texans can get a guy who can help get 3 or 4 yards, maybe some non-sexy yards on first down, second and long, I think that could go a long way for helping this offense. A pretty interesting idea of signing Derrick Henry, also making one of your division rivals a little bit weaker, and he knows that Tennessee Titans team very well from his time with the Tennessee Titans. So the idea of signing Henry really intrigues me, only if it's for the right price, though. He's not my top free agent target at the running back spot. For me, it's still Saquon Barkley. I think his explosiveness is off the charts still, even with the amount of injuries and stuff that he's had to deal with. But, I mean, Derrick Henry still intrigues me a little bit for signing him this offseason. And you know what really intrigues me? The thought of whooping my coworker Jack Sperry's ass in a sub battle. This is where we are at for new subs gained in the month of February, and I can't lie, he's been really dogging on me the past couple days. He has about 200 more subscribers than I do this month, so help me change that. Help me show that Texans fans are here and they represent. Go down and hit that sub button if you want daily Texans videos all year long. Going into free agency, any free agent signing, we're going to have a video for you. During the draft, every single draft pick will have analysis and breakdown of every single pick. So if you like that, if you love the Houston Texans, go down and hit that sub button. It's 100% free for daily Texans videos. And next up, what did BR have to say about the Texans signing Jaylon Johnson, one of the top corners in NFL free agency? Well, I'll get to that in just a moment. But first, got to show some love to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And it's as easy as this. You pick 2 or more players, choose more or less on their projected stat types, and place your entry. And you're like, but Jeremy, the NFL season's done. Well, that's fine, because Prize Picks has NBA, they have hockey, they have UFC, and they have baseball, which is coming up just around the corner. I believe pitchers and catchers are just reporting this week. But for the NBA All-Star Weekend, I have this great Prize Picks. If you want some free money, take this advice from me. Put this down. Jaylen Brown, a round 1 score of his dunk, 94.5 or more. Give me the more on that one. And Tyrese Halliburton, 5.5 money balls made in the 3-point competition. Give me the more on that. Our NBA expert, Allie Barefoot, gave me these picks, and I'm going to ride with them. You can ride with them, or you can fade them. Just do them at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. Now, let's talk about Jaylon Johnson, one of the top corners available in NFL free agency. And Bleacher Report listed the Texans as the best fit for Jaylon Johnson in this year's NFL free agency. Let's see what they had to say on the cornerback from Chicago. They said Johnson had 4 interceptions, 10 passes defended, and gave up a passer rating of just 50.9 and 4.8 yards per target. According to Player Profiler, he was the number 1 in yards allowed per targets, 10th in catch rate allowed, and number 3 in fantasy points allowed per target. Now, here are his PFF grades this year. I mean, Jaylon Johnson, one of the top corners according to PFF. And if you watched any Chicago Bears football, he was one of the, if not the best defender on that Bears defense this year. An overall grade of 90.8, coverage grade of 91, run defense grade 67.2. I mean, not great, but when he was targeted, The QB rating of the opposing quarterback was 33.3. I mean, that's a pretty lucky number if you ask me. And then, like the article said, 10 pass breakups and 4 interceptions. Jaylon Johnson was an absolute beast this year. Bleacher Report went on to say this. The only caveat to Johnson's stellar season was that he was 82nd in man-to-man coverage rate and 87th in shadow rate. He wasn't following the other team's best receiver, and he wasn't asked to play man coverage a whole lot. It's a scary thought, though, for opposing offenses. But a pairing with the Houston Texans could work. They played the 8th highest rate of zone defense in the league and need an outside corner opposite of Derek Stingley. And I completely agree, because adding Jaylon Johnson on the other side of Derek Stingley, you have 2 young, promising corners. I think that could be an amazing move for our Houston Texans. And the thought of having Jaylon Johnson covering the other team's second best receiver, kind of like they said in there, because Derek Stingley would be guarding their number 1. I think that's a lockdown unit for the Houston Texans. But what say you? Would Johnson and Stingley be the best cornerback duo in the entire NFL going into next season? I think so. I'm typing my Y for yes. Let me know what you think down below. Would Johnson and Stingley be the best cornerback duo in the NFL? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Now, as we look at this cornerback depth chart, Derek Stingley is the CB1, and a lot of guys are leaving. Steven Nelson, he's a free agent. I don't know if the Texans re-sign him. Desmond King, who really came on later in the year after the Texans released him in preseason and then claimed him later in the year. He was the starting nickel and played very well in serve of Tavier Thomas. Both those guys, though, are free agents. So the only really constant that you have going into this next season from the cornerback room is you know who your CB1 is, and that's Derek Stingley. Besides that, the other positions are kind of wide open. So the thought of signing Jaylon Johnson could be very intriguing. Now, the one hang up with this is that the Bears also have a lot of cap space, and they also just released 2 players yesterday, Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson. So could they be looking to sign Jaylon Johnson to a mega contract? If that happens, then the Texans could miss out on the star young corner. But that's why you subscribe. I'll keep you updated with the latest Texans news and rumors. And if you want even more Texans content, NFL content, the dankest memes on the internet, go follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chugs. That's where I'm tweeting everything. Also, tweet out funny stuff from time to time. Also, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we're trying to catch the Commanders report. They got a little sizable lead. Now, granted, they did have some breaking news the past couple of weeks. They had a coach that got hired. Their offensive coordinator got hired as well. They have the number 2 pick, but phooey. I don't want any of that. I want to put up or shut up right now. Go down and hit that sub button. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. You might as well sub to Texans Today.